to testimony in opposition, Toni King.
As you know, Casella owns and or operates a number of solid waste facilities in the state of Maine, including the KTI Biofuels Construction and Demolition Debris Processing Facility located in Lewiston. This facility has been in operation since 1986, and it is the largest C&D debris processing facility in Maine. So you can imagine we are intensely interested in proposed rule changes. Regarding the proposed changes to chapters 400 and 401, we agree that a landfill that accepts C&D processing fines should also have an active gas collection system. We also agree that the use of fines as alternative daily cover, a form of recycling which substitutes for the use of virgin soil materials, should have some limits on the amount used for this purpose. As a matter of practice, we operate our landfills within these proposed guidelines. Only the required approvals and plans will be utilized. We applaud the state's continued effort to increase recycling rates, regardless of generator status or commodity. Since 1989, Maine has targeted an overall 50% recycling goal. However, that goal has never been met. Recall that failing to achieve that general recycling rate, the state legislature requested that the Department of Environmental Protection review recycling and suggest how to increase the rates statewide. The BEP's initial suggestion was to require all licensed solid waste facilities, be it transfer stations, landfills, incinerators, and processing facilities, to demonstrate a 50% recycling rate with all the waste streams they manage. During the course of further discussions, processing facilities alone were left as the focus of the BEP's efforts to increase recycling rates. It is understandably concerning that while a general recycling rate of 50% has not yet been achieved in Maine, and other licensed solid waste facilities argued successfully that they could not bear this regulation, the few number of licensed C&D debris processing facilities have been singled out to be unduly burdened by this seemingly arbitrary rate. The concern that initially prompted the legislation that authorized this rulemaking regarding only processing facilities was the hypothetical situation where a tractor-trailer load of C&D debris arrived at a processing facility. A 2x4 was taken off the top of the load, and the entire remaining amount went to a landfill. There's no evidence that the 2x4 scenario has actually occurred or that it would make economic sense. Material that is removed and recycled generates revenue. Material that is landfilled incurs an expense. Other than the obvious environmental benefits, the prime motivation to maximize recycling then is simple economics. Having said all that, the fact is that our biofuels facility consistently meets the 50% minimum recycling rate, and Casella is committed to continuing to achieve the maximum recycling that is reasonable and feasible. Our concern with these proposed rules are the changes to Chapter 409, which focus on how the maximum extent practicable standard is applied. Construction and demolition debris processing fills a very important role in Maine's solid waste management system. By removing reusable and recyclable materials, the amount of solid waste that is landfilled is dramatically reduced. Perhaps even more importantly, because the processing residue that needs to be landfilled is much denser than unprocessed construction and demolition debris, the volume of landfill space that is consumed is further reduced. Some other states have earlier made these important recognitions and have gone so far as to ban the disposal of unprocessed construction and demolition debris, thereby assuring that all C&D debris is processed, some degree of recycling of this waste stream is accomplished, and landfill space is conserved. The principal purpose of a C&D debris processing facility is to remove the clean wood fraction from the waste and produce a biomass fuel product. This fuel is used by Maine biomass boilers to produce low-cost renewable electricity. A healthy biomass power generation industry in Maine has multiple benefits. The biomass industry provides an outlet for chipped green wood fuel from Maine's forest products industry. Generation of power using biomass as a fuel is recognized as a renewable source of energy, thereby reducing greenhouse gas emissions, helping to combat global warming, and increasing energy independence. The benefits of Maine's biomass industry received national attention at a recent meeting at the White House Construction and demolition debris processing produces a high energy content, low cost fuel that is also used by the biomass industry, along with the direct cost savings to biomass facilities using C&D wood fuel. Processing facilities provide a multitude of economic benefits, such as direct employment, income and property tax revenue, and business for the trucking industry. How much recycling a processing facility can accomplish is a function of two principal factors. One, the amount of recyclable material in incoming raw C&D debris, and two, the design of the processing facility, the equipment, and its operation. The principal recyclable components of C&D are wood, which is turned into fuel, metal, which is directly recycled, and aggregate, which is composed of concrete, bricks, mortar, asphalt, and stone that can be used as a gravel substitute. Obviously, no facility can recycle more than the recyclable fraction of the waste that arrives from their customers. The proposed rules would use a waste characterization procedure to determine the recyclable content of the unprocessed C&D debris coming into the facility, and then compare that to the amount of recyclables that have been recovered by the facility. To determine the maximum extent practicable component of the statute, the DEP conducted a sampling and characterization project this past summer at the three largest licensed C&D debris processing facilities in the state. The results highlighted the extreme variability of the waste stream, and though their sampling plan was statistically relevant, they could not determine with any accuracy what percentage above 50% might be practicable. As a matter of fact, given the data that the DEP shared with the processors, reaching the 50% minimum would seem to be a stretch. While a single load might be highly variable, to compound the characterization challenge even further, C&D debris composition will also vary widely over time, particularly seasonally. This variability is inherent in the product. Anyone who has undertaken their own remodeling project understands this obvious fact. The age of the structure, whether the project is construction or demolition, the type of project, whether it's re-roofing compared to room renovation, for instance, and the construction and or demolition techniques being used will all result in very different types of material in the waste stream. The subjectivity of the actual maximum extent practicable percentage is compounded by the lack of detail in the proposed rules of the waste characterization procedure itself. The methodology for determining recyclable content, who is qualified to conduct the characterization, and the frequency of characterization are not addressed in the proposed rules. As a processor, I don't know if, when this program is implemented, I will need to hire a trained professional just to fulfill this role, or if I should expect frequent visits from the DEP personnel to perform them or review their implementation. Since waste characterization is so fundamental to determining the recycling success rate, the draft rules at this point are not clear enough to be implemented. The second factor in the processing and recycling rate is the equipment that is placed to perform the recycling. For example, is the facility set up for a negative sort or a positive pick? Equipment is determined at the time the facility is licensed. Once permitted and constructed, it is simply impractical, unreasonable, and potentially very expensive to revisit how the facility has been designed and built. Proper operation of the equipment also plays a critical role. If readily available information about facility operations confirms that the facility is indeed being operated properly and that the C&D that it receives has been processed by the equipment approved in the facility license, then recycling to the maximum practicable extent is, by definition, being achieved. Our conclusion, then, is that the proposed rules are far more burdensome than they need to be and not likely to produce reliable and usable data. The result of a maximum extent practical recycling rate based on waste characterization, because of the inherent flaws in the procedure, is a determination that